Secretary. Cancel all of my wife's cards and freeze her accounts immediately. She gets her money back when she agrees to sign the kidney donation consent form. Liam hung up the phone, his entire being radiating fury, his hand clamped down on the woman's shoulder, squeezing with all his might. Laura, you know Chloe will die without your kidney. How does that make you any different from a murderer? The skin on her collarbone was already turning red from where he'd yanked her dress, but Liam didn't care. He shoved her away and stormed out, slamming the door behind him. Across from me, our son, Leo, followed his father's lead. He spat the food from his mouth onto the table and swiped his bowl to the floor. You're so selfish, Mom. You have 2 kidneys. Why can't you just give one to Aunt Chloe? If you don't donate your kidney to her, I'm going on a hunger strike. I'm never eating your cooking again. At 7 years old, he was at the peak of his willfulness. The spoon he threw hit me squarely between the eyes, raising a large lump, but he acted as if he hadn't seen it, jumping down from his chair and running to his room without a backward glance. In an instant, the vast living room was empty, leaving only me. It felt as hollow as my own heart, which was now filled with a chilling wind. My husband and my son, using the cruelest methods to force me onto a cold operating table, all for the same woman. They were consumed with Chloe's genetic kidney disease and her need for a transplant from someone with a rare blood type, my blood type. They had forgotten that when I gave birth to Leo, my own poor blood coagulation had nearly killed me. I looked at the donation agreement on the coffee table. A single tear trickled into the corner of my mouth, salty and bitter. 10 years of my life with Liam, utterly defeated by the 1 year Chloe had been in it. Liam fell for me the first day of university and pursued me for 3 years straight. He remembered everything I liked, even my menstrual cycle. He once unfurled a massive banner on the athletic field, screaming, "Laura, I love you." We dated, married, and had a child, becoming the stuff of legend for the students who came after us. Until the day of Leo's school orientation, Liam happened to save Chloe, a single mother, from being hit by a falling streetlight, and everything began to change. "Laura, you're so lucky," Chloe had said, her eyes welling up. "You get to be a stay-at-home mom. Not like me. My life is so hard, having to be both a mother and a father to my child." Her fair skin, framed by the red rims of her eyes, made her look utterly pitiful. "I have an open position at my company," Liam had offered, handing her a tissue and a lifeline. "If you're interested, you should come work for me." From that day on, Chloe's presence in our life grew exponentially. Liam would invite her and her daughter over for dinner, instructing our housekeeper to cook dishes from their hometown. He would even bring them along on our weekly family outings. Soon, Leo's drawings changed from a family of 3 to a family of 5. I hated this change, but Liam told me to be more understanding. "Laura, be reasonable," he'd say. "You know her situation. Her husband had a secret child with another woman, and her in-laws, who valued sons over daughters, kicked her and her daughter out. It's not easy for a woman to raise a child and make a living on her own." Even our son scolded me. "Mom, didn't you teach me to be kind? Dad is just helping Aunt Chloe. Isn't that a good deed?" This fragile single mother had ignited a deep-seated hero complex in my husband and son, casting me as the unreasonable villain. I cried, I fought, but all I received in return were Liam's eye rolls and fury. "Am I not good enough to you? I provide for you. I give you money to spend. Why are you always so paranoid, so suspicious of everyone? I'm nice to Chloe because she's pitiful. Her life is missing a male figure, so I help where I can. She's a career woman, not like you, a housewife. If you're really that bored, go get a job." Liam's words were daggers, each one stabbing into me until I was raw and bleeding. I couldn't argue. It was true. I had been a housewife since we married, but that was only after I had helped him build his company from the ground up, after he had begged me to come home and take care of our family. There is no greater disappointment in love than when the one who was once so passionate is the first to change. Looking at the shattered porcelain on the floor, and the splintered frame of our family portrait, I picked up the pen and signed my name on the donation agreement. "Dr. Evans, I'm entrusting you with the arrangements." I pulled the brim of my hat down, hiding eyes shimmering with tears. Dr. Evans, a dear friend of my late mother, held my hand. "Laura, are you truly ready to leave your husband and child, to never see them again?" I shook my head, without a trace of reluctance. "To them, whether I live or die doesn't matter. All they care about is Chloe's survival." In that moment, I was in more pain than ever before, but I was also perfectly clear-headed. I remembered how distraught Liam had been when he learned of Chloe's illness, and I would never forget the look on his face, a mix of tears and pure joy. when he heard that I could be the one to save her. After slipping out the back door of the hospital, I took my ID and some cash and made my way to a pre-arranged rideshare. Today was supposed to be the day of my transplant surgery with Chloe, but from this moment on, it was simply the day of my rebirth. An hour ago, I was wheeled to the operating room doors. Liam and Leo were huddled around another hospital bed. What if something goes wrong? I'm so scared, Chloe whispered, clutching Liam's hand, their fingers intertwined. She was like a frightened rabbit, waiting to be soothed. Don't be afraid, just go to sleep, and it'll all be over, Liam cooed, gently stroking the back of her hand. I've already made sure everyone in the OR is taken care of. You won't suffer. When you wake up, I'll have the most beautiful flowers waiting for you. Don't be scared, Aunt Chloe, Leo chirped. My mom is super healthy. Dad bought her tons of expensive supplements just to make sure her kidney works perfectly inside you, and you don't have to be afraid of the pain. When you get out, I'll blow on your booze to make them feel better. Leo puffed out his cheeks and made a funny face, making everyone around them laugh. Only I, on the other gurney, turned my head away, unwilling to watch any more. Mom, a hand grabbed mine. I wiped my tears and turned to my son. You have to save Aunt Chloe. I'm waiting for her to get better so she can take me to the amusement park. Leo, that's enough. Liam cut in, looking down at my pale face. Laura, if you had just signed the papers from the start, we wouldn't have ended up like this. He brushed a stray lock of hair from my forehead. Don't worry, go through with the surgery. When you're out, I promise I'll do everything I can to make it up to you. I stared at the ceiling, silent. The man before me was not the same man who, just a year ago, wouldn't even let me take a bitter medicine by myself. My decision was the right one. Ever since signing the agreement, I had been secretly arranging for a new kidney donor and hiring actors to play out this charade. Only when my escape was perfectly planned did I allow myself to lie here today. The cold metal doors opened, and both beds were wheeled into the operating room. The unique pressure of the doctors, mixed with the chill of metal, made 7-year-old Leo uneasy. A sudden fear of losing his mother washed over him. Mommy, I want my mommy. He clung to the doorframe, his loud sobs echoing through the surgical ward. Liam held him, murmuring to himself as much as to his son, "It's okay. Everything will be fine." As the doors began to close, both of them stared intently at me. I was as still as a doll. No struggle, no tears, and no reluctance. A flicker of regret sparked in Liam's heart. He had a strange premonition but could only clutch his son tighter as he watched the door slowly shut. Inside, Chloe was moved to the operating table. I was taken out through another corridor. I changed into the clothes I had prepared, said goodbye to Dr. Evans, and got into the rideshare, leaving the city behind. 3 hours later, a video appeared on my phone. In the video, Liam was hysterically grabbing Dr. Evans by her white coat, his face a mask of disbelief, his voice trembling. "Doctor, say that again. What do you mean? The surgery was only half successful." Dr. Evans pulled her coat free, her face etched with sorrow. "Mr. Hayes, your wife's kidney was successfully transplanted into Miss Peterson. Miss Peterson will wake up in 48 hours. The surgery was a success, but I'm so sorry. Mrs. Hayes suffered a massive hemorrhage during the procedure. We couldn't save her. She's gone." As Dr. Evans finished, a body covered by a white sheet was wheeled out. An arm dangled from the gurney. A red string bracelet was visible on the wrist. Liam recognized it instantly. He had prayed for it for me at a temple 7 years ago. In that moment, heart-wrenching sobs echoed through the surgical ward. I watched the video of Leo crying until he could barely breathe, and Liam, clutching a bouquet of flowers, standing frozen like a statue. I asked the driver to pull over at the next rest stop. I got out, removed the SIM card, and threw it and the phone into a trash can. I got back in the car without looking back. We drove for an entire day. Arriving at our destination late at night, I found a random guest house to stay in. The owner was a kind-faced woman. Seeing my red, swollen eyes, she didn't ask any questions. She just brought me a cup of hot tea and a warm meal. "Dear, did you run into some trouble? What brings you here all alone?" I took the tea, and its warmth finally seeped into my cold body. I took a deep breath. "Ma'am, I got a divorce. My ex-husband got the child, and I left with nothing. I just took a random rideshare and ended up here." I lowered my head and devoured several bites of food. The aroma chased away my fatigue and filled the emptiness inside me. I ate until the plate was clean. The woman seemed relieved. After all, someone who can cry while eating a full meal isn't someone who's going to give up easily. The woman showed me to my room. As she made the bed, she said, People are strange. When you're cold, you just add more clothes, but when your heart is cold, nothing seems to warm it up. I understood what she meant. After thanking her, I took a hot shower and collapsed onto the bed, but sleep wouldn't come easy. In a haze, I saw my 18-year-old self in a white dress, waving at me from a distance, trying to say something. I moved closer to hear, but a vortex pulled me into darkness. 18-year-old Liam, in his pursuit of me, had waited downstairs at my dorm every morning with breakfast, and walked me back every night. He remembered every important date, even my period, and once told me, "Laura, if you wanted a star from the sky, I would pluck it for you." His sincerity won me over. After we started dating, I gave up my plans for grad school to support his startup. Soon after we married, Leo was born. He was an easy baby. My pregnancy and delivery were smooth, with barely any morning sickness. But seeing me so weak after giving birth, Liam cried with a broken heart, "Laura, this one is enough. I never want to see you suffer like this again." Later, when Leo was a little older, he would cup my face in his hands and call me his darling mommy. Our family of 3 was a picture of happiness, but gradually, their faces in my memory became blurry. The scene shifted. I was at an amusement park, on a magnificent carousel. Liam was with our son, laughing and playing with Chloe and her daughter. When he saw me, his smile twisted into a grotesque mask. He grabbed my arm and demanded, "Who are you? Why are you trying to ruin our family's happiness?" Terrified, I turned to run, only to bump into someone. My 18-year-old self. Her pristine white dress was covered in stains. Her eyes were red. "Run," she whispered. I shot up in bed, gasping for air. The room was bright. I looked out the window. Sunlight streamed in, finally waking me from the nightmare. I got up and went to the bathroom, leaving a damp patch of sweat on the bed behind me. I sat at a street-side breakfast stall, watching the people come and go, lost in a daze. It had been 5 days since I arrived, and I still hadn't found a job. I didn't have much cash, and I couldn't afford to live like this for long. Despite having a bachelor's degree, I had been out of the workforce for years. I tried a few small companies, but with no luck. Some places rejected me without even looking at my resume once they heard my age. It wasn't until I passed a small housekeeping service shop that a job posting caught my eye. They were hiring professional organizers. The woman who interviewed me, Maria, was a force of nature, sharp, direct, and straightforward. She looked me up and down, her tone skeptical. "You look like a pampered princess. What makes you think you can handle a job like this?" "I have a certificate." 3 words were all it took to deflate her bravado. Maria raised an eyebrow at the fair-skinned young woman before her. "You've done this before." "No." I sat up straight and held out my hands. They weren't delicate, but rather a bit rough. "But I've been a housewife for 8 years. I got this certificate in a class I took in my spare time." The interview went smoothly. Maria was, as I suspected, a no-nonsense person. I got the job because I was familiar with fabrics and had a good eye for aesthetics. I was assigned to work in a high-end villa complex for the next few days. One morning, before I even entered the complex, I saw a security guard yelling at a little boy, "You little beggar, if I catch you here again, I'll break your legs." It was late autumn, but the boy was only wearing a thin shirt. He clutched a few cardboard boxes. After being yelled at, he took off running, turning back to make a face at the guard. His face, smudged like a little kitten's, made me chuckle. The guard scratched his head, blushing. "It's not that I'm mean, but we're not allowed to let scavengers in. This kid is always sneaking in to collect scrap. Yelling at him does no good." I nodded and entered the complex. I didn't know why he felt the need to explain, but I knew that if he hadn't been turning a blind eye, that boy probably wouldn't have gotten even those few boxes. After a long day, as I was leaving work, I saw the boy still lingering outside the complex, wearing the same thin shirt. He was holding a burlap sack, seemingly waiting for another chance to sneak in. "Here, for you." I walked up to him and handed him a large plastic bag. The boy looked at me with suspicion, his eyes wary. "Take it, you'll need it." Seeing I meant no harm, he took the bag. When he opened it, his eyes went wide. Inside were nearly 100 plastic bottles. What would have been 3 days' worth of work for him. "What's your name?" I asked, crouching down to his level. Seeing this child, about the same age as Leo, made my heart ache. The boy took 2 cautious steps back, didn't answer, then grabbed the bag and ran off into the night. My nose stung. The moment I decided to leave my husband and son, I told myself I could no longer be soft-hearted when it came to children. "Mom, Aunt Chloe says Dad is really rich, so I don't need to study hard." It's all a waste of time. I should just play, Mom. Aunt Chloe says kids are still growing, so they can eat whatever they want. It's okay not to eat vegetables. Mom, why don't you dress up and smell nice like Aunt Chloe? You don't deserve Dad's handsome face. Mom, Aunt Chloe got a big bonus from Dad's company and bought me fries and burgers. Why don't you work? Leo's words, likely picked up from Chloe, relentlessly trampled on my deepest insecurities. When I scolded him, he burst into tears. You're a bad mom. No wonder Dad doesn't like you. I don't like you either. I'm going to trade my limited edition Ultraman cards for a new mom. I'm going to trade you for Aunt Chloe. The words of a child are said to be innocent, but they are often the most hurtful truths. Looking in the direction the boy had disappeared, my heart felt like it had been pricked by a needle. At this same age, my son was enjoying the care of a nanny in a warm home, reading picture books and eating snacks, but that defiant little boy had to find a way to fill his stomach. In the cold wind, I wondered if his home was warm, if he had food to eat. I took out my wallet, counted the money inside, and hurried toward a mall that was still open. Days passed, and I didn't see the boy again. After work, I returned to my new rental and collapsed on the sofa. From upstairs, I heard a piano playing for Elise. It was my favorite piece, and Leo's best, but since Chloe's arrival, he rarely played it for me anymore. I thought of that vivid dream again, and the message Chloe had sent me. Want to know what your husband is doing with your son this weekend? See you at the amusement park. 10 a.m. tomorrow. Curiosity got the better of me. I went, and I saw my husband and son, who were supposed to be at piano class, riding the carousel with Chloe and her daughter. A park employee told me that Liam and Chloe had been bringing the two kids there every weekend. I slapped the photos on the table and confronted Liam. Explain this, Laura, don't misunderstand. Chloe said her daughter wanted to know what it felt like to have a dad around. I had some free time, so I took both kids. Liam had always felt sorry for Chloe's situation. Chloe can find another father for her child. Why does it have to be you? Chloe isn't remarrying because she's thinking of her daughter. If we were to divorce, would you just find a new dad for Leo without a second thought? Liam's voice rose. Is there no trust left between us? I give you money. I surprise you with gifts. I do all this, and you're still not satisfied. The louder his voice, the guiltier he sounded. He avoided the question, tore up the photos, and stormed out, not returning for the night. Leo watched his father leave, then turned and punched me in the stomach. Bad mom. Dad works so hard, and you still make him angry. I hate you. The blow was hard. I clutched my stomach, tears streaming down my face. When did it all change? Was it when Liam stopped holding me at night, when he stopped kissing me goodbye, or when he would stare at his phone, grinning, and not hear me call his name? It seemed to be none of those. It was just that our love had expired. The rot had set in, devouring the beautiful dream we had once woven, crawling over our decaying love, leaving a sour, itching feeling. I was working at a new complex. As I left the client's house, I sighed, looking at the paper bag I'd been carrying for days. Clatter, clatter. I heard a noise by the trash cans. Thinking it was a cat, I approached slowly. A familiar figure jumped out. It's you. I walked over to the boy and took a thick jacket from the bag, draping it over his shoulders. It was a size too big, but it would last him until next year. I found this, but it's too small for me. You can have it. You're lying, he said, taking off the jacket and throwing it on the ground. This is new. I don't want it. I don't have money or anything to trade. You don't need to trade. It's a gift. Why would you give it to me? My grandma says there's no such thing as a free lunch. I looked at this little adult, arguing with me. He even knew about free lunches. My spoiled son only knew how to eat them. The boy seemed to remember something. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a lollipop. Thanks for the bottles the other day. I was pleasantly surprised. It seemed I wasn't the only one who had been hoping for another meeting. Thank you. I took the lollipop, unwrapped it, and popped it in my mouth. It was sweet. What's your name? Finn. And so, Finn and I became friends. A one-sided friendship. At first, why are you so nice to me? After I'd given him cardboard for the 10th time, Finn's tightly wound defenses finally began to loosen. Because we're friends. Friends. Finn repeated the word, then muttered, if we're friends, what am I supposed to do? The boy's eyes were clear and bright, shining with a mix of understanding and longing for the word friend. Friends are true to each other. You help me. I help you. I took his chapped little hand. You don't have to give me lollipops anymore. How about you be my assistant? Deal. I gained a little shadow who carried my bags. Finn followed me during the day and went home on time at night. Are you taking the chicken leg home again today? I looked at the cold drumstick in Finn's hand. For 3 days straight, he had saved the chicken leg from his lunch. Yep, Grandma says it's flavorful, perfect with her drink. Finn, with a gap where a tooth was missing, waved goodbye, but I caught his hand. If we're friends, how come you've never invited me to your house? I held up a plastic bag. Inside was a whole glistening roasted chicken. Finn swallowed hard, his eyes glued to it. I had been wanting to visit his home for a while. I needed to discuss his schooling with his only guardian. This city had a sharp divide, a wealthy district on one side, and a slum on the other. We passed through a tunnel, and Finn led me through a labyrinth of single-story houses until we reached his home. As we entered the courtyard, a glass bottle flew out of the house. I instinctively pulled Finn into my arms. The green bottle grazed past us, shattering on the ground like a flower of glass. A white-haired woman stumbled out, slurring her words. "You little debt collector, you finally decided to come back. Look what time it is. Why haven't you made me dinner? Are you trying to starve me?" I traded a whole roasted chicken for Finn's freedom from cooking dinner. That night, I took him out to eat and walked him home. On the way, he took my hand and stopped. "My grandma says my mom was trash, my dad was a wolf, and I'm a debt collector." He kicked at a stone on the ground, his head bowed. "Aunt Laura, what's a debt collector?" I squatted down, looking up at him. "It's a kind of ghost that becomes very rich in the future." "Then why didn't my mom want me?" "Why, maybe when you were choosing a mom in heaven, you only picked her for 6 months, so she was only your mom for half a year. The trial period expired. Maybe I was the same, only chosen by Leo for 7 years. So if my mom ran off with someone else, does that mean someone else chose her to be their mom?" Finn bit his lower lip. "If someone else chose her, they better have chosen her for 30 years. Otherwise, there's nothing to trade, and they'll get a beating." Trading was Finn's principle of survival, the condition under which his grandmother allowed him to live with her. I knew I couldn't reason with that volatile old woman about Finn's schooling, so I continued to take him to work with me. Every night, I ordered takeout for his grandmother and brought Finn back to my place to teach him to read and do math. The days flew by, and winter arrived. The ever-capable Laura fell ill but insisted on working. "I'll help you." Finn grabbed the box from my hands, hoisting it onto his shoulder and struggling to carry it out. "Laura, have some water." The male client today was overly enthusiastic. He had offered me water 8 times. His beady eyes filled with a sleazy desire. "Cough, cough. I have a cold. You should stay away. I don't want to infect you." I politely refused his offer again, pulling my mask up to cover my entire face. "Laura, it must be hard raising a child alone." The moment I turned, the man closed the door. "I have plenty of money. If you're with me, I'll help raise your son." He lunged, pushing the already weak me onto the desk. "Ah, get off. Help." My voice was hoarse. I kicked and struggled, my nails scratching his face. He grabbed my neck. "You're a wild one, but I like my women like you. A tough nut to crack, more rewarding." His fingers tightened, my vision blurred. Finn's shouts from outside grew distant. Just as I was about to pass out, the locked door was smashed open with a stool. Finn rushed in and bit down hard on the man's arm. "Aya!" The man flung him off, sending Finn flying, but he was down for only a few seconds before he scrambled up and charged again, biting the man's thigh. The man rained punches down on Finn's small back. My consciousness returned. Seeing Finn being beaten, I went berserk. I grabbed a nearby ashtray and smashed it over the man's head. He staggered back, his head bleeding. I scooped up the terrified, motionless Finn and ran. "Finn, don't be afraid. I'm here." I stroked his head, comforting him as I held his hand, running for home without looking back. In the ankle-deep snow, 2 frail figures, one large and one small, clung to each other, stumbling and running. It wasn't until we were safely inside that I remembered to check Finn's injuries, but as my hand touched his face, I fainted. When I woke up, the bedroom was dark. I felt my forehead. A damp towel was on it. Hearing a noise from the kitchen, I peeked in. Finn was standing on a stool, stirring porridge. "You slept for 5 hours. You're finally awake." He jumped down and threw himself into my arms. The blood on his face had been washed away. I gently lifted his shirt. The places where he'd been hit were a mess of bruises. "Aunt Laura, don't cry. I'm tough." Finn wiped the tears from my face, puffing out his chest like a little hero. "I've been fighting the boys on my street since I was little. They're all older than me, but they can't beat me. I'll protect you. I won't let anyone harm a single hair on your head." I cried and laughed at the same time, hugging Finn tightly. This resilient little boy was the warmest coat I had this winter. I wiped my tears and was about to make some side dishes for the porridge, when there was a knock on the door. Who is it? Hello, police, please open the door. My hand trembled on the doorknob. The image of the man's bloodied face flashed before my eyes. Finn clung to my leg, terrified. Ma'am, please open the door quickly. The people outside were getting impatient. A bead of sweat trickled down my forehead. I closed my eyes and opened the door. Hello, is Finn here? Two police officers craned their necks to look inside. Behind me, Finn peeked out and silently raised his hand. Officers, I'm here. His heart was pounding like a drum. If someone had to be taken away, he didn't want it to be me. Young man, please come with us. The officers looked at the boy, then at me. Miss Laura, we'll need you to come with him as well. We were taken to the emergency room. On the hospital bed, blood trickled from the corners of Finn's grandmother's mouth. The light was fading from her cloudy eyes, but when she saw Finn, they brightened for a moment. Grandma, Finn ran to the bed, sobbing. Grandma, what's wrong? Grandma, don't die. Grandma. The old woman tried to lift her hand to touch her grandson's face, but it fell back heavily, lifeless. She was gone. She had slipped on the icy road and been hit by a car, suffering internal injuries. Watching Finn cry until he couldn't breathe, I gently pulled him into my arms. Like me, he was now without a family. Finn, look what I have. Finn hadn't eaten properly for days. I bought a roasted chicken, his favorite food. Looking at the chicken, he started crying again. He remembered the first night I bought one. His grandmother had saved both drumsticks for him. My mom left right after I was born. My dad went to work and never came back. My grandma worked so hard to raise me. She always said she couldn't be with me forever, couldn't give me a good life, so I had to learn to wash my own clothes, cook, and find ways to earn money. Finn hugged the chicken, sobbing loudly. Grandma, the debt collector is going to be rich one day, but why does nobody want me? Finn slept with the chicken in his arms all night. I sat by his bed, watching over him. The next morning, I left him at home and went to the shop to hand in my resignation. Resign? What for? You took a few days off, and we lost several clients. Get back to work. Maria was as direct as ever. Besides, you have a child to raise now. Food, school, that's a lot of money. Where are you going to find a job this good? Honestly, I didn't want to quit. I had gotten good at this job, but I thought that after what happened with that perverted client, my job was already gone. Laura, that man came to the shop causing trouble. A coworker whispered, leaning in. He was demanding to know where you were. The boss yelled at him. The boss threatened him. Said she'd not only crack his head open again but also call the police on him. She told him we all wear body cams when we're out working. That everything he did was caught on camera. He got so scared he practically wet himself. Life returned to its busy routine. On the last day of work before the new year, the boss treated everyone to a meal. After dinner, Finn and I walked home, one behind the other. Mom, I stopped and turned to look at Finn. What did you call me? Mom, Mommy, like a child learning to speak. It was the first time Finn had ever uttered that sound. He scratched his head shyly. Just practicing. Might need it later. The sound of firecrackers outside drowned out the sizzling in the kitchen. A firework shot up, exploding in the dark night sky. I called for Finn a few times. When he didn't answer, I came out of the kitchen. We're out of soy sauce. Run down to the corner store and get a bottle before they close for dinner. Okay. Finn turned off the TV, expertly took a $10 bill from the drawer, and dashed downstairs. 5 minutes later, there was a knock on the door. So forgetful. What did you leave behind this time? I wiped my hands on my apron, chiding Finn for his carelessness, but when I opened the door, the two people standing there, wrapped in the cold air, froze me in place. Leo rushed forward and wrapped his arms around my waist. Mommy, it's really you. You're really here. And Liam, his eyes red and nostrils flaring, pulled both of us into his arms. Laura, tell me I'm not dreaming. I struggled, suffocating, and pushed them away. Crash. The sound of shattering glass. The salty smell of soy sauce filled the hallway. Leo followed the sound and saw a boy his age standing a few feet away. Mommy, who is he? Ignoring Leo, I rushed to the stunned Finn. Are you okay? Did you cut your hand? When he shook his head, I pulled him away from the dark puddle and whispered, it's okay, as long as you're not hurt. Then I took off my apron and started wiping the floor. Mommy, I asked you, who is he? Seeing my concern for a strange boy, Leo stomped his foot right on the soiled apron. Move your foot. My voice was cold, and it startled Leo into obedience. He had never seen my unsmiling face. It was so foreign. Tears welled up in his eyes, and he began to wail in the cold hallway. The sharp cries brought neighbors to their doors, asking if we needed help. I apologized and waved them off. Turning to my two unwelcome guests, I said irritably, whatever it is, come in and say it. The moment Liam stepped inside, the spicy aroma of the food made him choke. Looking at the table full of spicy New Year's Eve dishes, he suppressed a cough. This small apartment, less than 700 square feet, was immaculately clean. There were no walls of luxury goods, no coldness of a large flat, no matching furniture sets. It was a bit messy, but it was a warm, lived-in mess. It felt like a home. Cough, cough, cough. Leo couldn't stop coughing, tears still clinging to his eyelashes. Mommy, did you make all this spicy food? You used to always make sweet things. Sweet things are what you and your father like. I like spicy food. I knelt to wipe the splash of soy sauce from Finn's face, not looking back at them. Laura, you're really alive. I never dreamed I'd see you again. This is wonderful. Hearing a woman's voice, I froze and slowly turned. It was Chloe. My attention had been so focused on Liam and Leo that I hadn't noticed she was with them. Chloe excitedly took my hand, a smile in her eyes that didn't quite reach them, acting out a dramatic reunion. When I heard you might be alive, I begged Liam to bring me here so I could thank you in person. I calmly pulled my hand away and took a step back. It's a small world. I had imagined we might meet again, but I never thought that when we did, I would feel so calm. Chloe, you might not know this, but the kidney in your body isn't mine. The news stunned Liam and Chloe, but compared to Chloe's gaping mouth, Liam was the first to recover. I don't care whose kidney it is. I don't care why you're here. And I don't care who that boy is. His tone was humble, so sincere it was almost laughable. Laura, all I ask is that you come home with me. I scoffed. Home? The place you're standing in right now is my home. Where else would I go? Seeing that we were at an impasse, Chloe visibly relaxed, though her face remained neutral. Laura, don't be like this. I know you were hurt when Liam forced you to donate your kidney, but you don't know how hard it's been for him and Leo this past half-year. Hard. I leaned in close to Chloe, my lips near her ear, and whispered, isn't this exactly what you wanted? You sent me all those messages, showing me how happy my husband and son were with you. Weren't you just waiting for me to disappear so you could take my place? Chloe, not expecting such a direct confrontation, immediately played the victim. She turned to Liam. I didn't. I was just keeping Laura updated on where you were, so she wouldn't misunderstand. Liam said nothing. He looked over Chloe's head, his gaze fixed on me. Just as he was about to speak, I pushed all three of them out the door. My New Year's Eve dinner is getting cold. Please leave. Just before the door closed, Liam stuck his hand in the frame, ignoring the bloody gash from the door. He asked, his voice filled with sorrow and grievance, don't Leo and I deserve an explanation? I looked through the crack in the door at Liam's tear-filled eyes. I don't love you anymore. I shifted my gaze to Leo and repeated, I don't want you anymore. Liam froze. It was as if he'd been plunged into a pool of ice water, weightless and suffocating. The Laura who once put him and their son first, the wife who woke up before dawn to make his breakfast, the girl who once sat behind him on his motorcycle, was now telling him she didn't love him. He had suspected it when he learned of her faked death, but hearing the words from her own mouth still felt like a blow. Laura, maybe you're just tired of your old life. You don't really mean you don't love us. Liam forced a smile. It's New Year's Eve, a time for family. Let us stay and have dinner with you. Not necessary. I pried his hand from the doorframe. There's no food for you here. Find somewhere else. The door shut, cutting off Leo's cries. Their sudden appearance didn't make me regret my decision. Their appreciation for me only began after my death. It was too late. The phrase, you don't know what you've got till it's gone, is often followed by once the scar heals, the pain is forgotten. Outside, Liam gently covered his son's mouth. He was devastated. The look in Laura's eyes held no hatred, no regret, only indifference. Laughter echoed from a neighbor's apartment. In the dark hallway, Liam took his son's hand. Your mother won't abandon us. We'll find a way to bring the old her back. Leo let his father lead him away, looking back at the closed door. Just as his dad said, his mom seemed to have been reborn, but she had been reborn into someone he no longer recognized. I looked at the table of cold food, my appetite gone. Finn, who had been hiding in his room, came out. So you're a runaway mom, too. He had changed into clean clothes, his face washed. So, are you going to hate me, like you hate your own mom? My eyes were filled with sadness. It seemed this new year would not be a peaceful one. Finn shook his head vigorously. They weren't good to you. He took a band-aid from a drawer and placed it on my bleeding finger. You cut your hand on the soy sauce bottle. They didn't even see. They just kept saying things you didn't want to hear, and doing things you didn't like. He gently blew on the band-aid. I don't hate my mom anymore. Maybe she had her reasons for running away. A warmth spread from my finger to my heart. My racing heart finally settled. I stroked his head. I'm suddenly starving. I'll go heat up the food. Let's celebrate. Meanwhile, Liam took his son back to the hotel. Dad, I'm hungry. It was only when Leo tugged on his shirt that Liam remembered they hadn't eaten all day. He ordered room service but didn't touch a bite himself. Just watched his son eat. He remembered past New Year's. How Laura would start preparing early. She would buy festive decorations, place fresh flowers in the living room, and even go to his company to give red envelopes to the employees' children. Every New Year's Eve, she would be in the kitchen from morning till night, making their favorite, complicated dishes. One year, his flight back from a business trip was delayed. She and Leo waited until almost midnight for him to eat dumplings. He remembered her words. On a day of reunion, no one can be missing. But now, the woman who said that didn't want them anymore. He had been with her for so long. He had grown accustomed to her presence, to her thinking of him and their son, so accustomed that he never realized how deeply he had hurt her. Dad, is this dish too spicy? Leo chugged a glass of water, his nose and eyes running. He knew why his dad had ordered so many spicy dishes. It was the flavor his mom loved, though. It was the first time he had ever known that. Yes, it's very spicy. Liam wiped a tear from the corner of his eye. His smile strained. Your mother was the queen of spice. Before she was pregnant with you, she couldn't eat a meal without it. He covered his face, hiding his tears. The girl who had once given up spice to eat sweet things with him. He had made her suffer so much. After Laura's death, Liam's life had fallen apart. He could never understand it. His wife had a physical every year. She was perfectly healthy. How could she just be gone? The day of the failed surgery, he had blocked the gurney, refusing to let them take her away. Liam, if you don't see her one last time, she'll never truly be gone for you. Dr. Evans had said, holding his hand back from the white sheet. Before the surgery, Laura told me that if anything happened, she wanted you and Leo to forget her. Hearing her last wish, Liam didn't hold a funeral. He scattered her ashes into the sea. He personally chose a burial plot with good feng shui, and had her favorite cypress and rose bushes planted nearby. A light rain began to fall. Liam knelt before the tombstone, gently kissing the smiling face in the photo. Promise me you'll visit me in my dreams. From that day on, Liam lost all interest in work. He hid at home, drinking, ignoring even Chloe. Liam, you can't bring the dead back. You have to live, for your son's sake, Chloe said, taking the wine glass from his hand. Her words were comforting, but her eyes held a seductive glint. Looking at this woman with her bright red lips, Liam had considered taking things further. Compared to Laura, Chloe was fragile, alluring, and played hard to get. He was a man in his prime, wealthy and powerful. It would be a lie to say he wasn't tempted. His life with Laura had been as calm as a lake. Even their intimacy had become routine. Chloe was different. With her, he felt a long, lost sense of youthful romance and excitement. Before Laura died, he had constantly created opportunities to be with Chloe. Now that she was gone, he found Chloe utterly bland. As her lips were about to touch his, he turned away in annoyance, blocking her with his hand, his thumb smearing a line of red across her lips. Your lipstick is too bright. It looks like you've been eating someone. From that day on, he forbade Chloe from entering their home and began to frequent high-end clubs, drowning his sorrows. Liam, my man, how about this one? A friend dragged a beautiful girl over to him. Liam's eyes were hazy. The girl's features were somewhat similar, but her timid demeanor was nothing like Laura's. He waved them away. Bro, we know you're grieving, but this isn't the way. You can't find someone exactly like her. I will. Liam drank until he passed out, until he was coughing up blood, but a part of him remained sober. He knew none of them were her. He couldn't fool himself. Liam, look at this one. Days blurred into one another. Someone brought another girl to him. She had straight black hair, reminiscent of his lost love. Perhaps it was the drink, or his own delusion, but Liam pulled her into his arms, asking over and over, Laura, why did you leave me and our son? For the next few days, Liam took the girl shopping, but for one thing only. He bought countless white dresses, making her try them on, one after another. Not this one. This one's wrong too. What is wrong with you people? You can't find a single decent dress. Liam smashed a glass on the floor. The staff jumped, bowing and apologizing. I'm sorry, Mr. Hayes, but that style is from 10 years ago. We really can't find it anymore. Someone muttered. The person and the dress are both gone. You should just let it go, sir. The words reached his ears and seemed to jolt him awake. He left the girl with a pile of clothes and drove to the beach alone. He regretted not seeing Laura one last time. Now, he was desperate to see her. He walked towards the ocean, feeling it was the only way to get closer to her. Laura, I miss you. I really, really miss you. He repeated her name in his mind, closing his eyes and letting the water rush over his ears. Liam didn't die. An old man swimming nearby saved him. As if a dam had broken, Liam vomited up all his repressed emotions along with the salt water he had swallowed. He knelt on the sand, his clothes soaked, his body trembling uncontrollably, tears making dark patches on the sand. Laura, can you forgive me? I was so wrong. I shouldn't have been sneaking around with Chloe behind her back, giving her promotions and raises. I shouldn't have lied to you, taking our son to spend time with her and her daughter. And I never should have made you risk your life to save a woman who meant nothing compared to you. Laura, you told me to forget you, but how could I ever? A crowd gathered. People offered their opinions, though it was unclear if they were mocking or comforting him. What's the use of saying all that now? It's better to live a bad life than to die a good death. Exactly. If I were your wife and you did all that, I wouldn't forgive you even if you were dead. So many fake romantics these days. He'll have a new wife in 6 months. Tops. Liam didn't argue. He staggered to his feet, looking out at the endless ocean, unable to find a reason to live on alone. Young man, the old man who saved him said, patting his shoulder, live the rest of your life with regret. Death is not the end. Forgetting is. After that day, the once dead Liam seemed to be reborn. He stopped his binge drinking and began to keep Laura by his side. In a different way, he handed over the company to his partners, fired the nanny, and devoted himself to raising his son, living the life his wife once had. Dad, why are there 3 sets of utensils? You, me, and Mommy. 3 people, 3 sets. Leo looked at his father's masked smile with a sense of dread. The house was exactly as it was when his mother left. Besides the repaired family photo, not even the trash can had been moved. Liam hoped that by doing this, Laura would return, even if only in his dreams, but she never did. Dad, this is too salty, Leo complained at the dinner table. He had been eating less and less, becoming increasingly picky. Eat something else first. I'll remake this dish. Liam's patience was met with his son's tantrums. Leo threw his spoon, shattering a vase on the table. Water and flour spilled everywhere. Liam snapped. He slapped his son. He had wanted to for a long time. Ever since starting elementary school, Leo had become more and more willful, throwing things whenever he was upset. You can't do anything right. I want Mommy's cooking. I want my mommy, Leo wailed, holding his swollen cheek. Looking at the mess and his sobbing son, Liam was filled with regret. He shouldn't have dismissed Laura's life as a housewife. Being the housewife he once looked down on was incredibly difficult. Mommy never hit me. I hate you. Leo ran to his room and buried himself under the covers. He took out a photo of himself and Laura from under his pillow and whispered to it in the dim light, Mommy, Dad isn't as great as you said. He can't do anything but make money. He doesn't know where my music sheets are, what size shoes I wear, or that I need a glass of warm water when I wake up. Tears streamed down his face. He clutched the photo to his chest. Mommy, I miss you so much. 2 months passed. Liam knew his son slept with that photo every night, and he was no different, unable to escape the shadow of his wife's death, until one day at a company meeting, he overheard his employees whispering, Look at this photo. Doesn't she look like the boss's wife? Don't be ridiculous. The boss has gone crazy looking for his wife. Have you gone crazy too? It's uncanny. I've seen her several times. Those 2 moles on her neck are in the exact same spot. Liam snatched the phone from his employee's hand. His eyes widened. A netizen had posted on social media, praising the professional organizer who had cleaned her home, though her face was mostly hidden by a hat. Liam recognized her instantly. It was the woman he thought of day and night, the woman who had been dead for nearly 6 months. He didn't know what had happened. He only knew he had to find her, bring her home. Whatever her reasons for faking her death, he didn't care. He had one belief. He could not lose Laura again. But it wasn't until he saw her again that he truly understood. Laura had already deleted him from the program of her life. The day Liam and his son came to say goodbye, the sun was shining brightly. Leo held a letter in his hand and gave it to me. Mommy, this is an apology letter for Finn. I hit him last time and never said I was sorry. If he comes back, please give this to him. Tears still clung to the boy's eyelashes, but his smile was genuine. I looked at his face, so similar to Liam's, and imagined him as a grown man. I hoped he wouldn't be like his father, and never let anyone down. Taking the letter, I hugged Leo. I'll be waiting for you to grow into a better man. We smiled and said our farewells, but neither of us said the word goodbye. For Liam, goodbye implied seeing me again, a luxury he knew he no longer had. He was destined to watch from a distance as I slowly forgot him. After their car drove away, I looked down at the letter, wondering when I'd be able to deliver it. "Mommy," a clear, childish voice called out. I thought it was Leo, but the voice was different. I thought I was hearing things, but then I looked. At the end of the street, Finn was running towards me, backlit by the sun. I thought my eyes were deceiving me, but another shout pulled me back to reality. "Mommy!" Finn threw himself into my arms with all his might. "Mom, I'm back," he said, his voice full of affection. I knelt down, studying him, about to ask where he'd been and if he was hurt, when a strange woman appeared from behind him. She bit her lip, a little embarrassed. "Hello, I'm Finn's biological mother." It turned out that the day Finn ran off, his birth mother had come to my house to get him. She had escaped an abusive marriage years ago, and only after hearing that Finn's grandmother had passed away did she work up the courage to come back for him. "Then why did you leave without telling me?" I asked, stroking Finn's face, my heart aching for him. "I'm a burden." A burden doesn't need to announce its departure. Ever since Leo had appeared, Finn felt like he was in the way, afraid that he was making me unhappy. After all, everyone in his life eventually left him. I looked at him and smiled. "Then why did you come back?" "Because I couldn't bear to leave you." Finn's birth mother looked at us, realizing the bond between her and her son was gone. She handed me a bag. "He insisted on bringing these back. He said you bought them for him." Her voice choked with tears. "I was selfish back then, for not taking him with me. I'm so sorry. I understand why he doesn't want to be close to me now." She waved goodbye to her son and disappeared from sight. I looked at her departing figure, and saw a reflection of a different life I could have lived. I turned to Finn and knelt down. "Tomorrow, let's change your name to Finn Liu. How does that sound?" Finn nodded vigorously, his voice loud and clear. "Whatever you say, Mom." Time slipped through my fingers. 3 years after entering the workforce, I successfully acquired Maria's small business and opened my own home organization company. Maria toured the new office, a space in which she now held shares, marveling at how the once pampered girl had truly made it. "I'm going to make this little shop a household name in this industry," I declared, and Finn became the child every parent envied. Every parent teacher conference was an awards ceremony for me, on a path caressed by a gentle breeze. I looked at the boy who now stood almost as tall as my shoulder, a gratified smile on my face. "Son, let's see who can run faster." "Mom, you're going to lose." Fields of canola flowers bloomed all around us. As I ran, I felt like a vibrant butterfly, finally embracing my own spring.